Now, it's one of those questions that can stop you in your tracks. You read the first couple of chapters of Genesis. You see God creating everything: light, sky, land, stars, animals, humans. It's this incredible display of power and purpose. And then you get to the end of the story. On the seventh day, God rested. And you think, wait a minute, why? Why would God need to rest? The question itself feels almost wrong to ask. God is all-powerful. He's infinite. He doesn't get tired. The book of Isaiah says it clearly. The creator of the ends of the earth does not faint or grow weary. So what's going on here? If he doesn't get tired, then why did he rest? Did he need to rest? The short answer is no. Not in the way we do. We rest because we have to. Our bodies and minds have limits. We run out of energy, we get exhausted, we need to stop, to recharge, to recover. Our need for rest is a sign of our limitation. It's a reminder that we are finite. God has no such limitations. His rest on the seventh day wasn't about recovery. It wasn't about him catching his breath after a long week of work. So to understand it, we have to change our definition of rest. We have to look at it not as a sign of weakness or need, but as an act of purpose. God's rest on the seventh day wasn't for him in the way we think of rest. It was for us. It was a statement. It was a pattern. It was a gift. Let's start with the word itself. The Hebrew word used in Genesis is Shabbat. It's where we get the word Sabbath. And its most basic meaning is to cease, to stop, or to desist. It doesn't necessarily mean to sleep or to recover from exhaustion. It simply means stopping an activity. So, on the seventh day, God ceased from his work of creating. Think of an artist. A sculptor works for days, maybe weeks, on a block of marble. He chisels and sands and polishes. Every day, he's actively working, changing the stone, bringing forth the image he has in his mind. And then there's a moment when he puts the chisel down. He steps back, he looks at his work. As he's finished, he doesn't put the chisel down because his arm is sore. He could keep going, but there's nothing more to do. The statue is complete. To add another chip to the hammer would be to ruin it. His stopping is not an admission of fatigue, it's a declaration of completion. This is a much better way to think about God's rest. For 6 days, he was actively speaking things into existence. He was forming, filling, and fashioning the universe. The text builds with this rhythm. And God said, and there was. And it was good, day after day. And then, on the sixth day, after creating humanity, he looks at everything he has made, and he declares it not just good, but very good. It is the pinnacle of his creative work. So what comes next? The seventh day. As God ceases his work, he stops. He puts down the cosmic chisel. Why? Because the work is done. It's complete. It's perfect. His rest is the final act of creation. It's the punctuation mark at the end of a perfect sentence. It's God's way of saying, it is finished. It is whole. Nothing needs to be added or taken away. The creation was complete, and God's rest was the divine seal of approval on that completion. It was an act of satisfaction. This act of ceasing, of declaring the work finished, sets a powerful example. But it's more than just an example. It becomes a blueprint for the rhythm of life itself. God didn't just rest and move on. He blessed the seventh day and made it holy. He set it apart. He designated it as different from the other 6 days. This is huge. Right from the very beginning of the story, before any laws were given on a mountain, before there was even a nation of Israel, God built a rhythm of work and rest into the fabric of the cosmos. This rhythm wasn't for him. It was for us. We are the ones who need it. God, in his wisdom, knew the creatures he made in his image would need this pattern. We need the reminder to stop. We need the permission to cease. In our world, productivity is king. We often measure our worth by what we do, what we accomplish, how busy we are. The idea of stopping for a whole day can feel lazy or wasteful, but God built it into the system from week one. This pattern shows up again in a big way in the Ten Commandments. When God gives his law to the people of Israel, the command to remember the Sabbath and keep it holy is right there, near the top of the list. And the reason giving goes right back to Genesis. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, but he rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. The command is a direct echo of God's own action. He's essentially saying, live the way I designed the world to be lived. Follow my pattern, work for 6 days. But then stop, cease, rest. This command was a radical idea in the ancient world. Slaves didn't get days off. Most laborers worked until they couldn't work anymore. The Sabbath was a profound statement of human dignity. It declared that a person's value is not solely based on their economic output. You are more than what you produce. You are a human being who needs rest, and this rest is a God-given right, a holy command. It was a command for everyone too. The sun, the daughter, the male and female servant, even the animals. The whole household, the whole community was to participate in this cessation. So, the first reason God rested was to declare creation complete. The second reason was to establish a pattern for human flourishing. This pattern has a few layers to it. First, there's the physical layer. Our bodies are not machines. We need sleep. We need downtime. Our muscles need to repair. Our minds need to decompress. Living in a constant state of work and stress leads to burnout. It breaks us down physically and mentally. God knows how He made us. The Sabbath principle is a recognition of our physical limits. It's a practical, life-giving instruction for how to live in these bodies we've been given. It's a rhythm that promotes health and sustainability over a lifetime, not just a frantic sprint toward exhaustion. Second, there's the spiritual layer. The Sabbath is an act of trust. To stop working for a full day requires faith. It requires you to believe that the world will not fall apart if you take your hands off the controls. It forces you to trust that God is ultimately in charge, not you. It's a weekly reminder that He is the provider. We work hard for 6 days, but ultimately our provision, our security, our future rests in His hands. In a world that tells us to hustle harder, to grind 24/7, the Sabbath is a counter-cultural act of defiance. It's a declaration that our trust is in God, not in our own endless effort. It's also about reorienting our focus. During the 6 days of work, our attention is often on tasks, deadlines, and problems to be solved. The Sabbath is a day to lift our heads. It's a day to remember God. It's a day to worship, to pray, to reflect on His creation and His good. It's a day to remember who we are and whose we are. It shifts our perspective from what we have to do to who God is. It recharges our souls just as much as it rests our bodies. Third, there's the relational layer. When you stop working, you create space for other things. You create space for people. The Sabbath is a gift to families and communities. It's a time to eat together, to talk, to laugh, to enjoy the people God has placed in our lives. Our work can so easily consume us, leaving little time or energy for deep relationships. The Sabbath carves out dedicated time for connection. It's a day to invest in our marriages, our children, our friendships. It reminds us that life is not just about producing and consuming, it's about loving and being loved. Later in the Old Testament, the Sabbath takes on even more significance. It becomes a specific sign of the covenant between God and the nation of Israel. It was a weekly reminder of their unique relationship with Him. It set them apart from all the surrounding nations who did not honor this rhythm. To keep the Sabbath was to identify yourself as one of God's people, living under His rule and enjoying His provision. But then something happened. Over time, this beautiful gift of rest became twisted into a heavy burden. By the time of Jesus, the religious leaders had added hundreds of man-made rules and regulations to the Sabbath. They had detailed lists of what constituted work. You couldn't carry something of a certain weight. You couldn't walk more than a certain distance. You couldn't heal someone. The gift designed to bring freedom and life had become a legalistic prison. This is the context for Jesus' conflicts with the Pharisees over the Sabbath. When Jesus healed people on the Sabbath, He wasn't breaking God's law. He was breaking their human traditions. He was restoring the Sabbath to its original purpose. He was showing them what it was truly about. His statement on the matter is one of the most important in the Bible. The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. This flips everything on its head. The religious leaders had made it seem like people existed to serve the rules of the Sabbath. Jesus says, no. You have it backward. The Sabbath exists to serve people. It's a gift for your benefit. It's for your good, your healing, your restoration. Healing a person who is suffering is not a violation of rest. It is the very essence of it. It is bringing wholeness and peace, which is what the Sabbath is all about. Then Jesus takes it a step further. He says, the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. He is claiming authority over it. He is saying that He is the one who defines what true rest is. He is the source of it. This points us toward an even deeper understanding of rest. The writer of the book of Hebrews picks up this idea. He talks about a Sabbath rest for the people of God. He's not just talking about taking Saturdays off, he's talking about a deeper, more permanent kind of rest. He connects it back to the story of the Israelites who were freed from slavery in Egypt. They were promised a rest in the promised land, a place of peace and security. But because of their unbelief and disobedience, that generation never entered it. The writer of Hebrews argues that this promised rest was always pointing to something greater. There remains a Sabbath rest for God's people, and we enter that rest not by arriving in a geographical location, but through faith in Jesus Christ. What is this ultimate rest? It's the rest of salvation. It's the cessation of our own efforts to try and make ourselves right with God. For our whole lives we strive. We try to be good enough. We work to earn approval. We carry the heavy burden of our guilt and failures. It is exhausting. Jesus offers an invitation, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." This is the ultimate fulfillment of the Sabbath. When we put our trust in Jesus, we stop trying to save ourselves. We rest in his finished work. Just as God the Father rested on the seventh day because his work of creation was complete, we rest in the Son because his work of redemption is complete. On the cross, Jesus said, "It is finished. The debt is paid. The work is done." We don't have to add anything to it. We simply cease our striving and receive the gift. This spiritual rest is a present reality. We can experience peace with God right now. And constant anxiety of trying to measure up can be replaced with the quiet confidence of being loved and accepted. But it's also a future hope. The Bible says that one day there will be a new heaven and a new earth where all the toil and struggle and pain of this life will be over. That will be the ultimate eternal Sabbath rest with God. So let's circle back to the original question. Why did God need to rest? He didn't need to rest because he was tired. He is God. He rested as a declaration. He was declaring his creative work to be complete, perfect, and very good. It was an act of sovereign completion. He rested to create a pattern. He built a rhythm of work and rest into the universe itself, a rhythm designed for the physical, spiritual, and relational health of the human beings he created. It was an act of loving wisdom. He rested to provide a sign. The weekly Sabbath became a tangible reminder for Israel of their special covenant relationship with God, their Creator and Redeemer. It was an act of covenant faithfulness, and he rested to point to a future reality. The physical rest of the seventh day was always a shadow, a symbol pointing to the true, deep, soul-level rest that we would find through the finished work of his Son, Jesus. It was an act of profound grace. God's rest was not a passive thing. It was an active, purposeful, and powerful statement. It wasn't a sign of limitation. It was a demonstration of his authority, his goodness, and his plan for humanity. He didn't stop creating because he ran out of energy. He stopped because it was perfect. And in that stopping, he gave us one of the greatest gifts we could ever receive, the gift of rest. A gift for our bodies, a gift for our souls, and a picture of the eternal peace that is found in him alone. It all started on that first seventh day, when God ceased his work and simply enjoyed what he had made.